Welcome back.
Right? We're back.
I was walking by last time, so I get to see you guys through the window. I was really jealous.
Hey guys.
Welcome back.
Right? We're back.
We're back.
Getting the band back together, huh?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought we did a pretty good job. Oh, welcome Wade to our new member.
Dude.
Yeah.
And it is so nicely.
That's true.
I was walking by last time, so I get to see you guys through the
I know, who
window.
let you
and
in?
I was really jealous. I was really jealous, but I heard all y'all's talk about interventional glaucoma, and I'm excited to actually get to hear it live instead of on the video on the back end now.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
We like having you here.
Welcome, Morgan.
But you're right, so last time that's what we talked about, which was like why we do what we do. So now today, I kind of want to talk about really what is becoming an interventionalist. What does being an interventionalist generally mean to you? And then let's go into more of the specifics.
You know what's so funny is when I first started in practice, everything was very segmented. You know, you were either a glaucoma specialist or a retina specialist or oculoplastics. People are merging those into one. And so that means we have to be more proactive. We need to be comfortable with treating disease processes from front to back.
So if we're saying proactive, I always like the word, but I think sometimes it can get confusing about like when do we act?
There was this kind of culture of like, do your drops. My job is to diagnose and tell you what to do. Your job is to do it. Compliance is a word. I don't love that, right? If it's not sustainable, to your point, if it's not something that's going to help them feel better and live better, it's really hard to sort of continue to go down a therapeutic pathway that makes you feel worse.
Well, don't you guys think that now we have good diagnostics and we have a good ability to really understand what's going on in the disease process to make that decision? I don't think we're treating too early, too aggressively.
I think from an IOP perspective, they may seem like they're controlled, but are they truly as stable as we would like it to be? If we can address the root cause of outflow resistance and kind of address it that way, procedure-wise, I think we do have a better chance, at least, of controlling it more than pharmaceuticals.
There's all the data that says people don't take their medications. They don't come back to see us frequently, less frequently if they're starting with topical therapy. If we know all of that and we're still choosing that path, then the loss of vision is on us.
And I think that's not to say that drops don't work,
No,
right?
of course.
Drops can
They're a
absolutely work
tool.
because we
Yeah.
hear that all the time. But the way I like to frame it to other, whether it's other colleagues or to fellows or whatever, horses work great. I'm from Texas, horses work great. It's a great mode of transportation, right? But then cars were developed, right? And it's a much more reliable mode of transportation, and it doesn't come with all the crap.
Nice.
But I like that. I like that.
Okay, time out.
No time out on that. That was amazing.
That was awesome.
That's why we invited you. We do know drops work.
Yeah.
So where are they fitting when you are using them?
Still, as much as we love our MIGs and our SLTs and our course of drug deliveries, there are gonna be moments in time where the pressures go back up. And this is where, going back to not having the fear, what if it doesn't work or doesn't last forever? If we have a high enough safety and it gives us enough time to say, okay, we can hold off until something else, then great, let's do that, and then we see what happens. And in between, if we have moments where the pressure goes up, we use those medications to keep it controlled until we do something else. And so I think it's an adjunct. It is definitely there to help us, but for me, it's not the mainstay of treatment.
There's no faster way to get the pressure down, quite frankly, right? Like I see a patient, their pressure's 35, we gotta do something. If I put them on a whatever, XYZ, it'll start working within hours, right? So there is a role as a bridge. Sometimes a response to medications can kind of give us a clue as to what surgical or other interventional kind of expectations could be. So For example, if someone's doing well from an IOP standpoint on a PGA, I'm gonna feel really confident that sustained drug delivery or procedural pharmaceutical is gonna get us home.
We're talking about changing the physiology of the eye. The earlier we do it, the better. If we project out hopefully 10, 20 years from now and see that these patients who we were able to intervene earlier had such a slowing of progression.
Earlier we addressed the TM with SLT and helped the outflow system. I personally believe that you are changing the course of that disease process, right?
I do too. Yeah,
and you see it,
absolutely.
Right? If you see the TM opening up, the conventional pathway, when you do end up needing to go in the eye for your cataract combo MIGS of choice, that you're going to have a better health flow system that's going to be more amenable to those MIGS procedures that you do as well. So I think it really behooves us to think long term. What's next? What do we do after this intervention right now? And what's going to give us the best chance of that next step working well?
Yeah, and that's an interventionalist. I mean, I think
Exactly.
that's like the whole core of it, which is don't wait. We really need to do this early. And then we have to do everything that we can to preserve the tissue, spare the tissue, heal the tissue. And only after all those things have been done and tried do we go around it.
From the fear of getting involved in interventional glaucoma, there's probably two parts. There's safety, and then how do I do this? How do I
talk track?
How do I talk to the patient? How do I actually perform angle surgery, right, or a procedural pharmaceutical, or whatever it may be? And I think those are the two biggest things on the fear side. How many times have we brought MIGS patients back to the OR? It happens. I'm not saying it never happens, but the number is considerably lower when we look at it compared to cataract surgery, which we all accept as this exquisitely safe surgery, right?
So I always have to remind myself and remind my patients, this is a chronic disease, because they'll say, oh, I've been controlled for 3 years since you did the stent. Why is it not working? I'm like, It's not working. Your disease in your body has progressed. And that's so important. One thing that I keep mentioning to patients too is don't focus on the pressure numbers. Sometimes I'll have somebody who was progressing at a 16, and then we did intervention and they're still at a 16 but no progression. I'm like, and they'll be up, or 17 or 18, like, or their pressure's up and they're like, well, that didn't work. I'm like, whoa. Success only comes when you see the field stop progression. That's success. I think the elephant in the room is the standalone discussion.
I had tons of glaucoma patients in our practice. And I felt like the biggest hurdle was, again, taking them to the OR to do a standalone procedure because maybe I didn't have the confidence that it would work. And so what I did in our practice was I sent out a letter to all of our glaucoma patients. And I said, the journey of glaucoma is such where we're constantly evolving and looking for new opportunity to treat your glaucoma even better than ever. That may mean getting off a medication. And so now we have newer technology and devices where we can do just that. I could not believe the response and how patients got so excited. And guess what we know now is that patients that have procedures are more likely to come back and follow up and not get lost to follow up.
I see a lot of new glaucoma patients, right? These are patients that are coming in, and they're being diagnosed for the first time. So a lot of times I say, this is what we would have done years ago, but now the standard of care is really SLT, the procedural pharmaceuticals, and we're moving from there. I think the other thing that's kind of interesting when talking to a lot of our colleagues is a lot of people still look at MIGS, angle surgery, interventional glaucoma as coupled with cataract surgery. And trying to get them away from that. It was never designed that way. It was really because of the clinical trials. We had to have a way to have a sham or a control. And we can't just take a patient to the OR and absolutely do nothing. But if you're already there doing cataract surgery, you can either add something or not, because there's a benefit to the patient. And that's really how this whole combo procedure thing happened, but that wasn't how it was ever supposed to be.
And the next question is, how do you talk to patients who you think are good for minimally invasives or drug deliverables? Because for me, I also don't really offer any options. I mean, I have somebody who's coming in and I think that they're progressing, they're on meds, they say, okay, this isn't doing what we want and we need to do something better. Because not only do we have, again, the compliance issue, but we have the diurnal issues and the return to follow-up issues. And it happens all the time. I'll see people, they come back 5 years later and they've lost all this vision. They never had anything interventional, and I think I should have done that.
we're doctors, and we commit to that, and we study, and we become the best surgeons we can be. But beyond that, are we leaders? Am I living out my why? And so are we communicating effectively to our admins to say, this is the reason why we're changing the whole paradigm? Because then guess what happens? Your templates have to change. Your techs need to understand when they're documenting drop failure or side effect. And then your referral network has to understand that when they're sending a patient, they're most likely gonna get them back, because that's how we collaborate.
I found actually, I had a really interesting conversation not that long ago with one of my optometrists who said, hey, listen, I know we've talked about SLTs kind of like our first option for patients for intervention. He said, but I've got somebody who's on 3 meds, and I think they'd really do better with just going straight and getting minimally invasives with a drug deliverable. Are we okay to skip the step? And I was like, absolutely.
And that's because, to
absolutely.
Your point, you've kind of conveyed the why behind it.
Yes.
So it's not like, this is not a cookbook. This is hey, let's take care of the patient, understand the process, and then you build systems based on that.
Now that we've had an awesome discussion about being an interventionalist, do we want to just do a quick little round the table about maybe just even a word? If you're going to tell people the one thing that defines you being an interventionalist.
Responsibility.
Quality of life.
Proactive was my word.
Holistic.
The mind-body connection. We're treating not just the IOP, we're treating the patient's psyche, we're treating the patient's physical, kind of ailments. And so that's what being proactive is addressing all those things early on. Yep. Maintain that high quality life. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I think we did good again. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Nailed it.